Dropping stuff. Oh, we're live.
Hi, everybody. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Costume Co. I'm Heidi. I'm your host. And today we have, and we have Justin Thomas on today. Hold on a second, guys.
That was me. I was making an amateur mistake as we were rushing to get this out. I had the YouTube volume turned up, so don't worry about it. It's not on your end.
Oh, okay. So sorry, guys, a little rough start there. So this has been a crazy week for me because I'm learning all these new technical things. So today we're doing Google Hangouts for the first time. And Justin's with me. Justin's from the Justin Thomas Show. Justin, you want to tell us a little bit about your channel and what you do?
What's going on, everybody? I am so happy to be here. I think I'm your first guest.
You are my first guest. This is so exciting.
I know you broke yourself in. You did the painful birth as Westworld would do with the this is really not looking good, but oh well. With doing the live streams on your own, which is the hardest, and then you decided to make it even harder on yourself and have a good old Justin Thomas on. No, I couldn't be happier to come on. My channel, if you're not familiar with me, number one, click in. I think the info should have my link. If not, you can probably just click on my icon in the chat once I put it in there. Subscribe.
I also put it in. I put it in the description.
Yeah, so. I do Game of Thrones, Westworld, Peaky Blinders. I am less focused on one single show and more focused on, I would say, storytelling and especially with television series and things like that. I guess you could say what I focus on most is Westworld, but I cover a good mix of television shows. I try to keep it fresh. So yeah, go and check me out. And it's Justin Thomas Show. I'm Justin Thomas because I'm a real creative guy, and that's the name I picked. So happy to be here.
Yeah, and Justin and I, so we both have had this weird thing going on. So I got sick on the weekend, right as I was doing my other live stream. I just got really sick on Sunday. And then poor Justin, it was his birthday yesterday. Happy belated birthday, Justin.
Thank you.
And now he's sick. So I'm on the tail end of the cold. He's kind of in the throes of the cold. So we're going to do our best. We're going to try and plow through it. Justin we might have to, put an IV with some NyQuil in it and get you.
Yeah, I'm using that NyQuil. I don't like unfun drugs.
They call that in Canada. We call it the green death.
Oh, I don't like that.
Kind of like in Westeros, they have the green fire. It's like, but we call it the green death in Canada.
Yeah, no, wildfire. I would think
wildfire.
Some kick-ass whiskey, but yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to talking to an actual professional, and I even wore a tie.
You look great. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, so everybody who's watching, what we're going to do today, it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be interactive. Like if you guys want to, chat, like say something in the chat, I'm going to do a few shout outs. So today we've got 30-day reviews is in the chat. And I just want to say hi. He's one of my fellow creators. Well, we're all creators, but he has a show that he does where he takes a product and reviews it for 30 days and then does a review on it. So it's a nice comprehensive review that he does. And so he's volunteered to be a moderator for me. Isn't that lovely? And then we've got Aaron LaFay. He's like one of my oldest viewers. He's going to be also, he's got the wrench. And then we've got PC Gaming is here. We got Cindy Cox is here. Joanna. Hi, Joanna. Hacks Dogma is here. And so far, so we've got a small crowd, but it's a solid crowd. What do you think about that?
I really like it. I like all these people a lot. Hacks Dogma is my partner in crime on the Before the Dust Settles podcast. Joanna is my long-term curator / co-leader eventually for the Mino Westworld and is a great help to me. And PC Gamer is the first person that joined my Patreon. He went into the empty restaurant with subpar food and he sat down and he ordered. And now others have come and the food's gotten better. So I couldn't think of enough. And 30-day reviews, that sounds actually like a really good idea. I'm probably going to steal that.
It's a great chat. Him and I were chatting about whether you should have a number in your title. And I was like, no, I think it's great. It's a really great premise. I haven't seen anything like that. And He's got a mustache, so a lot of products he does is like stuff for his face, like facial beard and mustache wax and that type of thing. So it sort of suits him. And I said to him, I think today, that I thought it was good because, sometimes you can't tell if a product is good if you just try it one time. Like, you need to really try it over a good amount of time. So I think it's an awesome premise.
That's what I said about Jack Daniels, and I did it for 10 straight years every day. And I was like, it's all right.
And then did you do a review of it at the end?
Yeah, I stopped.
Did you give it like a good 4 or 5 star rating on Amazon?
Yeah, my liver. I showed a picture of my liver. But no, that's great. And then somebody said they just subscribed. You won't be disappointed. I will, put out some great content for you. So I think we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite show, Westworld, at least right now. Westworld and Peaky Blinders a little bit, and even some Borgias. I hope that person I saw in the chat last time that was asking for it is gonna show up, because that just all the bells went off in my head when I saw somebody talk about the Borgias. I'm like, oh my God, I've watched that way too many times, and I've been wanting to make content, but I didn't think anybody cared.
Yeah. So. Well, it was funny. Justin, you sent me a link to this article by, what's it called? It's where they do like, reviews, analysis of different costumes. And they were doing a comparison between the old Borgias. Maybe you can clear that up with people, but there's the original Borgias and then the remake Borgias. And anyway, it was so funny. So she was a little bit snarky about it. She didn't like the second one as much, the one that you like on Netflix. She loved the first one, the original one, the one with Jeremy Irons. And anyway, you should see what happened in the comment section. It was like a war. Like there was like a war
because she's wrong. I'm already
on.
pissed. I'm already pissed about what you just said.
Yeah.
She was wrong. First off, Netflix is the first one. Second off, the Showtime one doesn't finish.
Yeah,
and because he wanted to go make Vikings. And I mean, neither of them are too accurate. And any review I've seen on it has just been somebody that definitely, if they passed even their high school history course, it wasn't by much. And they looked at Wikipedia for like 2 seconds. But yeah, I think it's fun. But yeah,
oh, sorry, it was Frockflix. Do you remember that link you sent me?
Oh, it's
Frockflix. Frockflix. I think I have the link in the description. So what they do, it's actually these costume historians, and they, from a historical point of view, and I don't have a historical background. So they look at costumes from an historical perspective, and but they oftentimes will get into the actual story itself. And they are very, very snarky. I try not to be snarky like they are, but they can be quite snarky. And so as a result of that, there was a huge war in the chat, and it was kind of entertaining. I wanted to say hi to a few more people. Pegleg Pete is here. Hi, Pegleg Pete. Okay, that's my Patreon. And the Fantastic Joe is another creator that I've gotten to know over the last few months. Hi, Joanna. Did we say hi to her already?
Yes.
Hi, Holly.
She's my curator.
And there's Holly. Now, how do we know Holly? She's from your channel, I believe. She says, hello, everyone.
Maybe. I got to see.
Cindy Cox. She says, love the Borgias. So, Cindy, you'll have to tell us which one you like, though. Is it the one that Justin likes that he feels is superior?
Well, they're both decent. I mean, again.
Pegleg Pete says both were fun.
Yeah. There we go. Thank you, Pegleg.
Both were fun.
Yeah, it's just one finished the show. So I go with the one that like finished the show. It's kind of a rule of mine. It's like, hey, I like shows that finish. Just like I sometimes, like books that finish. I don't want to be like, oh, they just ended it there, no big deal. So they went off to write something else, like George. So
okay, so should we just, guys? So what we've done here is I've put together a very crude slideshow. And we thought we could just kind of go through it and have a look at it. And we were going to start with Westworld. And since the show just premiered, like the season 2 just premiered on Sunday, episode 1, we thought, we got a little bit more information from last season that we know, and from the trailers. So, and they did 2 videos after the episode premiered. So I was able to get some screen grabs of that. So Justin and I thought we could go through that and talk about it. Does that sound good, everybody? Can't wait to see your Black Panther content. Oh, yes. Guys, I have a Black Panther video I'm working on. Oh, Justin, just before we do this, I just have to mention I was mentioning about the technology to you earlier. So on Monday, I had to do an interview with Ruth E. Carter, who is the costume designer for Black Panther. It was a huge honor. And I had a very short amount of time to be able to interview her. So I had to have the questions all ready. But the problem is I had to do it on my phone, and I had to figure out a way to 30 Days Reviews knows about this because I've been crying a river to him about it. I had to figure out an app that would work, that would record it properly. So the only thing that happened was my voice was a little bit overdriven. So we've actually figured out a way to deal with that. But that was, so this week has been like really nerve wracking for me. Like I was actually less nervous about the interview than I was really about the technology, the tech. And then the same tonight, of course, like we're like, okay, let's just try Google Hangouts now and see how that goes.
Yeah, you should have talked to me. I would have led you in the right direction for that situation.
Oh, you would have?
Oh, I would have screwed you over. No.
Okay, so should we go ahead and start with the pictures? What do you say? I'm just going to put them up on the screen.
Yeah, go ahead.
This might take a minute anyway. Whoops. I have to figure this out. So let me, I'm going to share this, but it's going to show something else. Sorry, hold on a second.
There we go.
Can you guys see it?
That's a good old poll.
Okay, but I'm going to go back. Okay, so we're going to go back to Westworld, right? Can everyone see that?
Yes.
So we got Westworld here. Okay. Should we move ahead to, what do you want to do? Do you want to talk about this, or we could just go ahead to
start at the beginning? We can start at the beginning. I can talk about any of it.
Okay. Oh, here, I want to
put in the slideshow.
Slideshow mode. Okay. All right. So, okay, let's go. We'll start here. What do you want to say about this?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of dispute about this. If we're just going to be talking about the actual story, this is my belief that this is probably about the same time period we're looking at when we see Arnold. I believe this is Arnold walking with either host Dolores or potentially a love interest or a past wife, but I don't really buy into the past wife thing. I'm just saying that's how people are interpreting it. I'm going to say this is Arnold walking with the original host Dolores, or who host Dolores is based off of, because I do think she's based off somebody. And I think this coincides with the bridge scene. Just because look at how, I mean, you can't really see it, but look at the smile on this guy's face, on Arnold's face.
Sorry, Justin, this is the first I've heard of it. Are you thinking that Dolores might have been built off of Arnold's wife?
I'm not going to say wife, because I mean, don't we see her wife in his wife in the first season? And she's an African American, or at least, she's definitely not.
Yeah. Sorry, she's the actress from Firefly.
But I do believe that there was a divorce after after Charlie died, supposedly. Sure. So my lore might be a little off on that, only because it didn't really matter as much. But now it matters, so I should probably buff up on it. But I do believe that all hosts almost all hosts are based off of people, just because of the. You have to think about how hard it would be for artists to actually go from scratch, and how much easier it would be for them to use real people as models. This doesn't mean it's some mastered, deviant plan. It just, it makes sense to me. I mean, I'm not an artist, but look at police sketches and stuff. They all look like crap. Yeah. To work off a real, scan of somebody would be so much. You could just scan them.
Yeah. Now, my take on this here, of course, was her outfit. She's wearing there's hostess outfits. She's wearing a hostess outfit. There's two types of outfits they wear. They wear a white or they wear a black, and there's different variations on them. In fact, Maeve is wearing, when he got her that dress, it's a hostess outfit. So when the guests come into the station, the hostesses and hosts, they go down to the platform and greet the guests. And they're either wearing a white dress or a black dress. And then the men are wearing, just a suit. I think they're wearing just shirts and pants, maybe jackets.
I didn't know. I always thought that dress was just to have her mix in with the actual crowd. I always assumed that all the greeters were in white. There's not a lot of them, but there's only a couple of scenes where we see that the platform is sort of darkened, and that the hosts the host guests or whatever, what do you call it? Sorry, the host greeters are all in black. So I did that on my video. So that I just thought I would point that out. Now, we'll get to that in a second
the other outfit. But let's just talk about this. What do you think is happening here?
Well, these are the we see them in season 1. This is the bandit crew that follows Wyatt, that is now led by Angela, who follows Wyatt as well. That is also Dolores, if that isn't just
You call them what did you call them? The Wyatts?
Well, I call it before. I mean, that's not.
I like that.
Yeah, it's like a doo-wop group, the Wyatts. But yeah, there's a little bit about them that's interesting. Well, a lot about them that's interesting. Number one, they're devout followers of, Wyatt. They have mentioned in the first season that they have found a way to like keep themselves out of the facility by repairing themselves in the field. I feel that that's going to come up as we see the rebellion played out through flashbacks. So yeah, they are the, you call them a bandit group, you could call them a renegade army. Yeah, but they're the followers of Wyatt. So
yeah, to me, these outfits really feel reminiscent of those old spaghetti western films. The Sergio Leone type movies, the Banditos. One of the things I was thinking about these masks, Robert had asked me about this from MD Geek, and one of the things I thought was interesting is the hosts, they don't really need to be able to see. Like we were going to talk about the drones. They don't really need to see. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Although it looks like they do have a zipper or something that they can peek out of if they had to.
Yeah, I'm unclear about that. Now, I don't know if there's anything that's ever been, actually set in stone that, they don't need blood like we do. I mean, there's a lot of things that simulate, what we consider to be biological functions, that we can relate to. Now, they have eyeballs that look like ours. They probably don't need them to look like ours, but I do have to believe that, with their eye movement and stuff like that whatever is behind them, whatever apparatus is behind that, facade of an eye is necessary for them to see, is from what I've taken. But the drone host doesn't necessarily have eye. You can't see anything.
Yeah, maybe it's like a sensor. Maybe they have sensors.
The aesthetics isn't needed, but you would have to think for them to be able to like get the POV that they need to fit in, that it would need to be, this is all just, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, people, but I would think that it would make sense for them to place those sensors in a logical place that, relates to, they have to interact with humans. So, let's not.
Well, this is what I'm wondering, if their eyes are really for our use or purpose rather than for their own purpose.
Well, and they also need to be recording. So
yeah, that's true. We found that out. Here, okay, let's go to the drones. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, there's lots to look at there. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is a screen grab from they did a follow up to the episode and talking about the behind the scenes. So I'm assuming this is a prototype, or it says body concept. So obviously an artist rendering.
I love what they're wearing. Who do you think they're wearing? Is it Farrell-beck? Yeah.
I was just looking at this new designer today who's totally whack, and I'm like, oh my god, he's this British designer, and this is the type of stuff he would do.
We're gonna see this shit on a runway.
We are. Well, even if you look at because I'm doing Black Panther, so if you look at Black Panther, they wear a unitard, but they always have some kind of membrane over top of it, so it always has this sort of it almost accentuates the muscles.
Yeah, it's unfair. I'm in good shape. You know what I mean? I wish I had that.
Now, the one thing that they didn't do is it's actually hollow in the legs. So, as we saw, they didn't actually go ahead with that. Here, let's go ahead.
Well, it's like those guys that work out their upper bodies all the time, never work their legs. That's what this show is all about. It's about the importance of a full body workout. No philosophy, nothing.
Yeah. Okay. So here we are. This is from the episode. Can you see that?
Yeah.
In the lab when they're taking out the light bulb, as you call it.
Yeah, well, at least you didn't do the actual. Do you know where he's taking the swab from? Can you tell me?
His eye?
Arm? No, he's going up from somewhere. He is scraping DNA from the lower region.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The thing that I thought was amazing about this shot is you can't really see this guy's parts.
No.
It's like they've been digitally removed or something. The guy on the table. Have you noticed?
But yeah, I mean, I wasn't like yearning to see it, so I wasn't like seeping it out.
Well, you
But
could
yeah,
see
no,
it in the show. You could see it. You could actually see it in the episode. There was a lot of penises in this past
didn't look
episode.
like anything to me. But no, that what they do, he is swabbing his genital area, and I'm not making a joke.
Oh, okay.
What I'm bringing that up for, all seriousness, is I mean, the brothel is for a reason, is to collect DNA. So
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
it's they weren't just like, I'm assuming they're not children. They're not like, have him do like the swab of his genitals. It'll be funny. I'm sure that they it's a conscious decision to show us where they were taking the DNA from,
Yeah.
mouth and genital area.
That's
That's a
interesting.
lot of DNA. I mean,
Yeah. To Bernard's horror.
yeah.
Okay, so so this is an actual behind the scenes shot. This is kind of cool. So what we were talking about earlier is that there's actually an actor that's wearing this. And from the pictures I saw, it looks like it's a bodysuit and then a mask and then feet, and then they have this face plate that goes over top and covers the whole thing and makes them look like they have no eyes. Although it's funny without that mask thing, they actually look, I think, a little bit more scary. But they decided to do that. That's a Jonathan Nolan thing, I believe.
I think that, I mean, you're the expert here, but I think the premise is to have them be, anonymous.
Mhm.
Just like we talked about before, off air with again, the genital region, is there's nothing. There's like the same almost type of, whatever cover for it. You can't see one way or another. I think this is the bare bones of the host.
Yeah.
This is what they need to operate. What we see in Westworld is what is necessary for them to operate convincingly amongst the human population. So this is their true form. It's kind of a minimalist way would you agree, to
Oh
take it?
yeah,
I
absolutely.
really like it. I mean, I'm not a huge art major and all that, so that's quite the big word for me to be
Well, the
using.
production
But
designer, the person who created this, what he was talking about, he got inspiration from, the opening scene where they're dipping the body before it's covered in skin. That's basically the idea. It would be like, what if you had a host that doesn't have the skin on it yet? And then you just have the sinew and the muscle, and it's not even color. They just leave it white. They don't even need to have that, because it's not going to be seen by anybody. It's not going to be seen by guests, and only a handful, I guess, of staff even know about it. Like Bernard didn't even know about it.
yeah, and the big question is did Ford know about this? I mean, Ford, the whole thing about them is they know everything about everybody, and then
Yeah, I asked that to Robert. He said he thinks it's likely that he did.
mhm.
I'm not sure about that, though, to be honest with you. Oh, here, I just want to, there's a few comments here. Who was it here? What does it say here? I thought that was a chick on the table.
Well, in this
No, I'm
day and
pretty
age,
sure
it could have been.
it could have been, but I'm pretty sure I saw something in the actual show. And then 30 Day Reviews wants to know where you can get a suit like that. Well, it was made, and actually, well, we can look here and go ahead. So this is what I would call a positive. So like in sculpting, I'm not an absolute expert in this. I'm more of a fabrication person as opposed to a sculpting person, but usually you do a positive and then a negative. So this would be the positive. They do it in clay. This is very much like sculpting. And then I did a screen grab of the bottom and the top. So that's his head and that's his torso. Now, in here, Justin, we were talking again about whether, is it a male, is it a female? We think it's supposed to be sexless. So they actually ended up modifying that crotch portion there.
Yeah, because that's quite prevalent.
It is prevalent. So here's a close-up of one of the people working on it. So as you can see, it looks like I think it's silicone or latex, maybe latex. I've worked with this type of material before. It's actually, it's usually cast. It's like a foam that goes into a cast. And then once it cures, it's very malleable. It's quite light. Although wearing it would be quite hot, whole body suit. I've actually worn, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but I had to wear a mascot years ago. I worked at a costume company, and they made mascots as well, the other division. And so we had to take turns like wearing the mascots to do photos for the clients, and I had to dress up like an ever ready bunny. with the drum.
Yeah.
And I was in there maybe like 15 minutes. I was soaking wet when I came out of that thing. So I would imagine, but they probably keep the set quite cool. I would
So
say.
now, when you say that does the actor then wear this and then they like dry it and they take it off? How does this work? Like, what is the
Okay,
process?
well, so here, let's go ahead a bit. This is just, we'll come back to this after.
Well, I did want to mention one thing about that. I think it's so
Yeah.
interesting because we talk about like, a lot of like Michelangelo is brought up, is brought up and stuff like that. And it's so neat that there is actual sculpting behind the scenes. We talk about all these great, Renaissance, artists and stuff like that. And then we see the art, that maybe one day will be looked upon as we look upon them. I think it's cool. I think it's, it's when art meets art.
I think like a lot of the creature effects, even in sort of like some of the older, like John Carpenter and so on. I mean, those people are they're true artists. Like people who work on Star Wars do a lot of the creature effects. And I mean, one of the things I had sent to you earlier that I haven't mentioned yet is that one of the things I was a little bit surprised about is that they decided to do this practically because, they could have done an Andy Serkis type thing, had the person in a green screen suit and then digitally done it after, but they decided to do it practically. I think that was a Jonathan Nolan thing. I think he really wanted to have that presence on set because, I mean, when I saw the interview with the actor, is it Jeremy who plays Bernard? What's the name of the actor?
Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright. He was saying it was pretty terrifying. Like these guys are like 6'4". And to just turn around and have that presence there, that probably would have been pretty freaky.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think anytime now that I think we went through this 90s stage during the 90s, that's why I'm calling it the 90s stage, obviously, of just, CGI, like we figured out we could, even till in the early 2000s, it's like, oh, now we can do all this CGI, like the prequels for Star Wars. Isn't this awesome? And then we're like, it came to the question almost, not to get philosophical, just because you can, should you? And people don't like it as much. You want not only just for the overall look is just so much. I mean, because there is VFX over this, but very slightly in the end. But
absolutely,
such a you feel their presence. It's so much more organic. Even the best CGI can't replicate this. So if you can do something that is like a minimalist type, view on this, I mean, you should do it. And like you said, like to have the actors be able to act with something that's not a tennis ball on a stick has to be so important.
Yeah. So like here you can see, like, I mean, this one hasn't been painted. Like it's a little bit yellow, which is sort of the natural color of latex foam.
They have jaundice.
Yeah. And then what's kind of cool is you can sort of see how thin the edges are around the wrists. Like, this stuff can be actually made quite thin, to the point where it can tear. Like I said, I haven't worked a lot with this type of thing, but I've done some prosthetics. And so, but as I mentioned, it under that would probably be quite hot.
So now after conception, like after they conceive and like know what they're doing and they have the plan, set, how long do you think this process takes? Like once they have the, everything set in place to do it, how long do you think it takes to make one of these?
Oh, well, I don't know. Cause the thing is, okay, so you do, like I said, a mold, like you would do a sculpture, like we saw back here. So you'd have that. And then you would do, after this is done, then you would do a negative and then you would do a positive. Like you have to make like the cast and then it would be cast in that. So I don't know, probably 6 months, I think maybe.
Jesus.
And then they'd have to do fittings. Like here's actually the guys. So they're actually working on, it looks like an actual mannequin. They got feet and everything. So they might be building this on an actual mannequin. But also they'd have a team. So they'd have several people doing it at once. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just sort of, guesstimating. And then as we move here, this is just actually a test where the actor is just trying it out. One of the things when I was reading about Black Panther is in Civil War. Apparently the actor who played Black Panther, he couldn't raise his arms above his, shoulders, and he could barely breathe out of the mask. So that's one of the things they had to modify from when they actually did the movie Black Panther. So these are the things that normally when they have some time, they'll test for it. And I mean, the idea is maybe they're going to be using these for future seasons. So maybe they want to put a bit of investment into it. the upfront costs would be a little bit heavy, but then later on, it would be worth it. And then once they have the molds too, the other thing is they can make more of these. It's a little bit like Westworld itself, right? Once you figured out how to make a host, you can make more of them.
Well, not to, go too tinfoil-y, but they are supposedly, they have the 5 seasons, plotted out. So let's figure, we can take a look at these pictures and assume that these drones will be doing more than taking the Apple products out of the people's, out of the host heads, the cortex out of the head. We have to assume that by exhibiting the need for them to have this range of motion, they're not just doing, because it's not cost effective. It's not like, hey, let's make sure they
because
can,
as you said,
gymnastics.
At this point they were just taking out light bulbs. Why would they need to have to be able to lift their arms above their heads? So it's probably likely that there's going to be, a drone army
or a calisthenics team
calisthenics team. Then and these guys are ballet dancers. Here, let's go ahead. I wanted to show you this picture. Back to these ones.
Do you think that the ballerina dancers or ballet dancers, these guys are like, this is what they envisioned when they went to school for that? They're like, oh, I'll end up working on Westworld dressed as a robot. That's the dream.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because years ago I was working at this other store and we needed models, and so we actually went to a dance school to hire dancers to do the modeling, and they were like, sure, like they were all for that. So and I know we had a campaign in Toronto where I live, where they hired ballet dancers for this particular campaign. So I think this is something that they're performers. They're like, sure. Here's a picture, Justin, we were talking about. So this fella, he's a ballet dancer. He's doing what's called an arabesque.
I wanted to say the word. Come
on, you say it.
No, I'm nervous. I don't want to say it anymore.
And then here he's sort of like on point.
He could have been Black Swan for show. But yeah, it makes sense for them because they have to move. There is, again, the alteration with the VFX, even on the hosts that, we see walking around the park, to make them slightly less human, to kind of just ride that line between the what is known as the uncanny valley, where it's just close enough. So it's like, it would make sense because they're perfect at movement. A poor way to say that. They have mastered the way that they can move and get around. So if they need them to do a certain thing, whether it be fluently do a arabesque or whatever this is, they can do it. If they need them to walk very stiffly, they're obviously going to be able to do this a lot quicker than me.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that Aaron's doing such a good job of being a lovely host. Speaking of hosts, in the chat, he's like, welcoming people and giving information. Thanks, Aaron. And before we move on, I just want to say that Aaron, his aunt Genevieve watches the show, and she's 96 years young. I think she's 96. Is she 96, Aaron? She's my oldest viewer. And she's just lovely. And anyways, every time she watches and has a comment, he always sends the comment to me. Isn't that sweet?
Oh, and I want him for one of my moderators. He's very good at what he does.
He is. He's awesome. Here, let me go back here. Like, okay, because we've got.
She's 95.
Oh,
that's
she's
still
95.
very impressive.
Isn't that amazing? So here we are on set. What I like about this picture, Charlotte's a little bit in the foreground, but you can sort of see the scale of the size of this guy, which we've mentioned. He's 6'4". And next to Charlotte, I don't know. You know what did I tell you that I saw her costume from Thor?
Mm-mm.
I got to go to the exhibit in Toronto. So she's quite tiny, like maybe 5'2". So next to him, I think, and I don't even think Jeffrey Wright is that tall either, maybe 5'7". So next to this drone, they would be quite, it would be very intimidating.
Yeah, I guess that's a good question for you. It seems that like I'm 6 foot, and like it seems like if you're a 6 foot actor, like that's tall. Like most even male actors, like I don't know, is it just, would I have been a more successful actor if I would have been like 5'8"? Would I have been like Tom Cruise if I was 5'6"? I don't get it.
I think that with it, I think that most actors I've worked with are usually between like around the 5'10" to 6'1", I would say 5'10", 6'1". I think Tom Cruise is an exception. At 5, I think he's 5'5". You have to, but if you're going to be on TV, you have to have a big forehead. I don't know why that is. For some reason, everyone on TV has a big forehead. I'm not really sure why.
Isn't that like a sign of fetal alcoholism? I don't know. Let's move on.
Okay, here, let's go back here. So, here, I wanted to take you back to this.
So now somebody was asking about how they see. Do you have any answers for that? Because I don't.
I don't know. They can't see. They have a guide. So we saw this picture here. Okay, so here he has eye holes, right, and a mouth. But once they have the shield on, they can't see. At least I don't think they can.
God,
I could be wrong.
What is the insurance on that?
Well, you'd have a guide probably. You'd have a guide.
Yeah, and they're paying.
Yeah. So what I wanted to talk about here, this is really funny. This is talked about in the video. So the dancer is wearing a unitard underneath everything. And then because the drones have such tiny waists, they actually have to cinch them in. So the dancers already have maybe like a 30-inch waist, like pretty small. And then they have to take them down to like 27 inches with this waspy. You can see that this is, I was telling you, this is the wardrobe lady that I want you to do a cartoon of me in, wearing like an apron with tools.
She sounds like she has a smoke. She seems like she would have a smoker's voice.
She probably does. She probably has a smoker. She's
honey.
in the union. She's been in the union for 40 years. She's ready to retire.
I worked on Medicine Woman, Dr. Quinn. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Same set as Westworld.
You're kidding. Oh, that's right. I knew that. So anyway, you can see we're at the back here. That's where they do the lacing. So this poor guy is going to be laced. And then there's a hood on the unitard that he would wear next. And then you can see that actually, I think he only has the mask on the front of this one. Doesn't look like he has the back part. He doesn't have the gloves and he doesn't have the feet in this test here. So here he is in the fitting room. So this has the back part on it. And then he's not wearing the mask here. And so he's got these two techs that are going, okay, buddy, do some movements. Let's see how it goes. I don't even know. I was trying to figure out what this workroom is. Like you can see the feet are sitting on the table on the right. Oh, this is kind of a crazy room.
Yeah, it looks like a Dexter kill room. I don't like
a Dexter kill room. Yeah, there's cabinets with like, stuff they can inject.
Pictures on the wall, like of the stuff you've done.
And there's samples of like, the kills. Like what does he usually take? What does Dexter do? He does a slide or something.
Yeah, he takes their DNA.
DNA and he puts it in a box. There's a cabinet in the back with all the serums that they inject you with.
Yeah, we're giving ourselves away.
And a torture chair.
No bottom of the chair.
Okay, so we saw it. So then, and this is good because here you can actually see the feet and look how detailed those are. That's really good. But you can kind of see the seam there. You can kind of see where it's been on, especially on the guy on the left. You can kind of see where it's been done up.
They didn't care. Yeah, he must have been just in the back.
And at the back, you can see where it's. I have a feeling that they probably tried not to show the back because that's probably where it's closed up.
But even with my After Effects skills, I could clean that up. I mean,
well, oh yeah, I'm sure they would do that in post, right?
Yeah,
so we saw that. And then there's so this is the one we were talking about. It's got the red marks. What was that again?
Well, I mean, from what I know, you refer to them as anchor points, and that's for the VFX team, to be able to put. When you're putting your extra layers on, those are your focal points. So they're referred to as anchor points. Anytime I've been a part of any production or done any posts and stuff like that, I'm not a professional like you. But yeah, I mean, I work with After Effects and stuff like that. And you would definitely need your focal points. I had a big argument, not a big argument, but a Game of Thrones YouTuber put out this video about supposedly, and this is definitely was just not the case, but they were claiming it was Jon stabbing Dany in the heart with a sword, and he didn't have anything in his hands. Okay. Yeah. And so it was explained as they wouldn't do that because they would have to CGI it. And like, okay, first off, so his hands weren't even like this. And if your hands are like this, okay, my little experience with doing, production work is you would still have like the hilt of a sword or something the size of the hilt of the sword because it has to have consistency.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're going to CGI over it, because your hands are going to be off. It's going to look ridiculous. Like it's going to be, the hilt's going to be coming through.
I read, they always have some type of sword. Oftentimes it's rubber or wood. Like
you
in
can
lieu
see.
Of a sword.
Longclaw bends. They messed up in Battle of the Bastards when he gets off the horse. You can see the rubber version. There's never a time CGI doesn't work like that. That's why
no.
Something, know about it.
So Justin, actually, I have to correct myself. It does look that there is a bit of a window in the face part there, right? It's very thin.
I find it hard to believe that they just can't see. And then maybe it's hard to see, so they.
And then they would just fill that in post.
Yeah, that's probably the
Yeah.
reasoning for those
Yeah.
anchor
Although they
points.
wouldn't be able to see that well, I'm going to tell you, out of that little window.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's probably why they
Yeah.
still need the guide. But
Yeah.
yeah, in post, they're probably just replicating the original, like face plate, whatever you want to call it, to go back over it.
Yeah.
So
Okay, let's move on. So here it is. This is what happens when they have to have a break. So, and that looks like a hair dryer. Like she's probably drying his face.
that looks like a Gatorade too. Just
And a Gatorade.
my
Yeah,
professional input.
it is. Now my question is, how do they go to the bathroom?
They they keep their mouth shut and do their job.
Oh yeah, and then I love this one. This is actually it's out of order. It was in the video, but it's obviously a close up of one of the early sculptures done in clay.
That looks like some Predator stuff.
It's very Predator looking, don't you think? Yeah,
Yeah, I think they
the same
thought so
thing.
too, and they're like, "We're gonna get sued. Go something else."
Yeah, yeah, it does look very Predator though. Okay. All right, so we're going to move on. Okay, so let's move on to, are you okay with that if we move on to some of the other stuff?
Yeah, my one question for you as a, because again, I just, sorry, I get so giddy when I talk to somebody that's actually involved in more than like, local plays like I have. So like, do you think there's any type of warming or cooling aspect within the suit?
Okay, there's a possibility. They didn't show it. Okay, so normally there's these things called cooling vests, and I know that Marvel told me they use those as well. And remember, I was telling you about wearing the mascot. Normally, mascot wearers wear them. So what it is it's a vest, and they're very thin though, and then they have like coolant that goes through them. It's kind of like little pipes that, like little like narrow pipes that are strands of pipe that go back and forth, like zigzagging on it. And then you would wear it on your torso, and then they might have them for their legs as well. So I know in like I said, because apparently Thor, they shot it in Australia in the summer, and so it was brutally hot. So they did
Well, that's
use.
Hemsworth though. That's like where he like lives hunting
He
and
does.
riding on kangaroos. No offense, Cardinal. I know
Well,
you're
and
in there,
his
brother.
actually his suit was fine. He didn't have that bad of a suit.
He didn't need it because he's from
Yeah.
there. I heard they're
Yeah.
freaking animals. I heard they're like
Yeah.
beasts. Like they're real. No, I'm not making it. It's a compliment. Like
Yeah.
what's her name? Jennifer Lawrence spent
Yeah.
time with the Hemsworth brothers. She's like,
Yeah.
they are the most manly. Like she's like, they are just like savage. She like they're tearing meat
Yeah.
off the bones like barbarians.
You know, you kind of feel bad for Stubbs though, right? And even his name is Stubbs.
Yeah.
Because he's one of the Hemsworths, and he's like, he got the raw end of the deal. He's like 5 something. Well, how tall? Like I don't know, he's like 5'8" maybe. Whereas his brothers are both like Liam and.
I don't care. He's still a Hemsworth.
He's a Hemsworth. Anyways, yeah. Okay, so let's just move on so we have enough time to get to the Borgias. Okay, so this is Dolores. We're going back to this. And then she's wearing this black outfit again, I think is a hostess outfit. And who do you think that is in the foreground? You think that's William?
Logan, I would guess Logan, but I'm not huge on speculation on stuff like this. I mean, I just think what I would take from this picture, and I've not done my breakdown on the upcoming whatever they're I think they're calling the season 2 like upcoming primer, not the original primer. I don't know what they're referring to it as. Okay, so my first initial thoughts are this leads me more now to believe that this is a host, because look at how they're gazing out at what I'm assuming is the real world.
That's definitely Dolores. That's Dolores.
Well, I know, but I'm saying that we were talking about before that there could be that we could be seeing the human that Dolores is based off of.
Yes. I think it's a host as well. Yeah, for sure.
I'm contradicting myself is what I'm doing. So this does lead me to believe that this is a host, because look at, a host would be mesmerized. Nobody else, I mean, you can't see, again, context is important, but I mean, it looks like she turned that chair around to stare out the window and gaze.
It is a bedroom though. So, because when I saw that party, I was like, I thought if those were all hosts, I thought they look like escorts. That's what my sort of initial thought was.
I think that is just poor gutter thinking. Yeah, probably.
Well, that's where I live. Well, hello, it's Westworld.
Peaky Blinders.
We had full frontal in the last episode. And we should probably told people there might be spoilers in this, by the way.
Well, if you haven't seen the show, you probably shouldn't be watching a live stream that's about it. So I don't know how you found yourself here.
Okay, so here, let's go. So there's Logan there. So yeah, so that, I mean, it looks likely. I'm thinking, oh my God, is he sleeping with her? Is he trying to sleep with her? This is what I'm thinking. There he is, because he would just want to get back at William.
Yeah, I mean, he would want to. he would definitely want to further, exploit and just, demean her in the house,
Yeah.
to get back at William.
Oh, AU says it's Luke Hemsworth. Luke is the one who plays Stubbs. Is he really Stubbs? Or is he?
Yeah, I don't. That's my tinfoil.
No, I know that's your tinfoil thing. You have to watch Justin's video on his last video.
I'll make a better one. Yesterday, I was like in the midst of 102 fever, sneezing.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So then we're here. So this is okay. What do you think about this picture?
God, context matters, but okay.
It's hard to know, huh?
Well, I'm just gonna say it's in the past because we got the idea. Not that, I mean, it was confirmed. Him and Lawrence know each other. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So for anybody who doesn't know, this is William and Lawrence, or at least we think it's Lawrence.
Yeah, almost sure.
Almost
so
sure.
This is them. But it could be. I don't know. I'm gonna say it's in the past, and it's we're gonna get a little bit of that story as well.
Yeah.
Not all the past Man in Black scenes will be William Man in Black. We will see the also middle aged, in my opinion. So because it's Westworld, so timelines are just freaking all over the place.
Oh, Cardinal Doomsday says escorts for sure, yo, or just my opinion. I thought it was yo, but it's JMO, which I think is just my opinion. Yeah, I think it's escorts.
JMO. Yeah, I'm gonna
JMO.
Yeah, okay. JMO for sure.
Okay, now this is the one that I was really interested in. And then, so we're back to Dolores here. She's wearing that black dress again. We've seen like a couple of perspectives of her. And we know it because it's kind of got the crisscross drop back and it's sort of like a halter style. And then she's there with Bernard or I think it's Bernard, but it could be
Arnold. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that this is Arnold.
Okay, Arnold.
Guess since we're always seeing all these scenes, she's wearing the same dress. She either needs to get herself a new dress, girl, or
she has a white one. She has a white one she wears as well.
Okay,
in a different scene.
Yeah, so I think that this is like a time that Arnold is either again with who Dolores is based off of for one night, or this is Arnold taking Dolores outside the park, potentially to meet James Delos to talk about the situation with the host, maybe to exhibit that Dolores is Man, I'm using the same word too many times, same sentence. Maybe to show James Delos that these hosts are exhibiting, the actions of somebody that is becoming conscious. Maybe because he obviously didn't. I'm assuming that Arnold didn't jump straight to the suicide plan. I'm assuming that he might have tried to stop this. And
also we don't know what stage he's at here with his son, right? Like, do we know in the timeline when his son died?
Oh God, it's 30 or it's 40 years ago, maybe, because the incident, it was like 36. It was between 36 or 40 years ago. I would think. Okay,
so we're not. So you and I are going to tinfoil hat that's what's his name on the bridge?
James Delos.
James Delos, which I have
somebody of importance. Importance.
Yeah. So there, this looks like Dolores is looking out at him. That's what I think.
And this looks to be, like in awe. So this again, it's like I've got the bi-criminal mind going, because some scenes tell me that this is a human, but this isn't how a human looks this is how a child looks at a building. Like, oh my God, it's so big, But
I think she's looking out. I think she's looking out across the bridge here. Like they're outside here.
Yeah.
I don't think this is inside.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
Yeah. It was a city background, Joanna says. Yeah, so it was a city background. And so what we were speculating is this on the island or is this on the mainland?
Somewhere? I did look up pictures when I was eating a quick dinner in the 15 minutes I had. The only thing, okay, if this was for sure a known city, and I might look like a dick on this one, I have not seen anybody that's figured this out. Obviously, they have replicated buildings from different places. This resembles a Asian city, China or Japan, but mostly China's cities. The way the buildings are structured and all that. This, is a little Las Vegas, but it's mostly the architecture.
It looks pretty modern, pretty contemporary to me. Oh, so. Joanna just wanted to know Haley Marie wanted to know, are we doing the Borgia or the Borgias? Are they
We're gonna
Borgias?
well the Netflix only one that
Netflix only one, yeah.
yeah, we can talk about both really quick, but yeah, Borgias. I think was it Faith and something. It's been a
Yeah.
thing.
Okay, so here, let me move ahead here. Okay, so there's James there. So this is from the promo.
Mm-hmm.
No spoilers on this because this is just in the promo. So this is him in the park with her.
Yeah, and she seems to be in her garb, her park garb. So yeah,
She is. Yeah, I have it. Well, there she is again. So, and then what happens is when James steps away, we have William. So this, I'm pretty sure, is after the original timeline because he's already met her. He's had a love affair with her, and he's wearing a business suit, which it looks to me like he's working for Delos. What do you think?
well, yes, because he was like I forget his exact title, but then he becomes he raises in the company. He was like a junior executive, and then he becomes like vice president, I believe. I have to look it up. I've done I've done so many videos. Check out my backlog of videos where I say the correct information. I've done so many I forget. But yeah, he moves up. So what tinfoily, he's already gone through the stages of trying to find her. He's already become upset with her. So what I'm thinking is this is maybe the moment that he is having them put her into this loop that is not advantageous for anybody. Maybe this is, because he's got James there and they are, putting them out on their storylines. Because at first they didn't have, the guests. And so maybe he is, making her storyline a little bit worse or making sure that she stays in the storyline. She was already in it. So my point is making sure she stays in it.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell what the period is because they did a really good job on this with the clothing. If like because of the usually a good telltale sign of clothing, the period is the width of the tie, the width of the collar, the width of the lapel. But here it's just like there's really very little information we're getting here. Like very
you got to
little.
remember that it's essentially the events that we see happening in Westworld are the ones with him, young William, or it's only in like 2022 or something like that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be not that much in the future. So this would just
2050 something is where we end.
Yeah, so the beginning of Westworld, like when we first meet William, young William, it really isn't that much farther in the future. So you could see someone wearing this kind of outfit in the near future. But what I'm saying is that it's so nondescript. It gives very little information.
That's why it's a promo pick.
Okay, so I put this one in there. So this is Ghost Nation, and what I notice is there's a bunch of people behind them, walking behind. Have you seen this picture?
Yeah, I've seen. I mean, I recognize that it looks like those people are from Lawrence's town, and there's a group of people that follow that religion that they the gods they worship. They're looked upon as very spiritual people, just like our Native Americans. Excuse me. So
now the actor in the very front, I think he's actually a principal actor. I'd seen there's an actor who was in Dances with Wolves.
Zach McCann, but that's
not him.
No. Okay. Yes. No. I was looking for some reason. The guy on my left was really sticking out. No, that is Zach, I believe. Yes.
Yeah. With the black makeup on the top.
Yes. The full half face. Yep.
He's gonna come into play, I think, at some point.
Yeah, he's the one that got injured offset, and then he stopped production for like 2 weeks. So
I heard that. Yeah,
a huge role. I didn't halt production for a glorified extra.
So I think what will happen, what we're going to probably see something happen where, right now when the show ended on Sunday, we were at like 2 weeks after the aftermath. So it looks like we'll probably get all the information filled in through a series of flashbacks. Do you think? Is that how it will work?
I mean, Ghost Nation, obviously, that's the big thing they're holding back on is what's going on with Stubbs, what happened to him with Ghost Nation, why Dolores is killing those that are members of or at least we saw her kill one. What role we still, my most tinfoil theory is too, maybe they're shadow security, which is that's actually debunked now, at least pretty much, because we did see the one was a host, but there's always the possibility, stuff like that. The thing is, Ghost Nation is always,
or maybe some of them are.
Yeah, I'm done with it though. I just thought in my head, I'm done with that one. Stubbs I'm still sticking with.
Someone else came up with the idea that maybe they're not woke enough.
they've always been separate. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Ghost Nation has never been even a part of their narratives. Like they've always been a not only a mystery to us, but they've been a mystery to the host. So, I think we're just going to continue on with that as we see there are some people that are more connected with them than others. And it's those group of people from Lawrence's town.
Okay. So what have I got left here? Oh, okay. So I threw this one in. Now I'm pretty sure now I know this is a flashback, and the reason why I know this is because of Maeve's outfit, because I covered this in season 1. So this is a flashback scene to her when she's a homesteader with her daughter. So had you seen this picture? This is from the promo.
Yeah, I mean, and that's definitely just going to be her probably, what she's going to probably, it's storytelling, a hardship is going to come up, and what she's going to remember.
Having a memory. She's having a memory here. Yeah.
This is going to drive her.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And then, so this has been seen quite a bit. So now with Dolores, one of the things that she doesn't really have a new costume. She's just sort of taken off her jacket, and then she's wearing this sort of the bandolero, the bullet belt across her. But other than that, she's pretty much in the same outfit. So we do know this is in the in our timeline, like the timeline, probably just after the massacre.
Yeah.
So she's having a conversation with Arnold. I think this is in the it looked like it was in the bunker in the
I don't remember exactly where it was, but Bernard's going to have to make a choice. Bernard is, first off going to have to find himself. He's going to have to find his footing. He's going to have to make a decision. Also, Charlotte Hale, I see them setting her up as a sympathetic character. We're still probably not going to love her, but let's remember, we've already seen Delos being shown as being, first off, possibly robotic. They answer in a very robotic way. Won't get into that, but they are, the ones that they don't care. She can't even get out of there. They'll just let them all die, so she is now put in the same situation as everybody else. That is another, obviously,
and I know you talked about this in your live stream. Like she doesn't actually believe that there could be an uprising, whereas the Sarsgaard character, he does. He totally believes that could happen.
Well, I think that she knows there can be an uprising, but she sees it more as like a temporary glitch. Like, okay, this is like just a little bit of a step back in our plan, a little hurdle. When Gustav Skarsgård's Carl Strand sees this as much more realistic as now we're dealing with a different animal, not an animal that's glitched.
Yeah.
And they're not animals.
Oh, and then, so I just threw this in because, Charlotte's wearing a tactical vest or what have you. They've obviously rescued her at some point.
Now, an interesting thing about this, and I don't think we have the photo on hand, is Teddy is wearing the same exact. It's either the same. I mean, they're probably got a lot of vests like this, but there's a scene later where Teddy is pointing a gun, and I forget who, and he's wearing. It's really hard to see, but he's wearing that vest.
Oh, Teddy's wearing it?
Yeah, but again, it's. I mean, this could be look at bulletproof vests. Now,
this is the type of thing you see in warfare. This is the type of thing when someone goes into and these guys are mercenaries, right?
Yeah, they're like the Blackwater equivalent. Like, and that's what I like, because they're really distinguishing between like Stubbs, like he was the hard ass last. He's like got kids, like he's like, oh, you guys love playing, soldier or whatever. But you see the mentality because of mercenaries who we need in our world, because these are the men and women that have been through war, and that's all they know. But they are they are the people that are on security. They are the people that do the things that we cannot do, and they have embraced their soldier life to the fullest. You see the difference in the ideology between even Carl Strand and Stubbs. Stubbs looks like a little left. He looks like me being like, oh, what are we gonna do? You know what I mean?
And the other thing I was gonna say is Charlotte's wearing her outfit. Like when they go to that bunker and they find the drones, like the secret bunker, and she changes. This is the outfit she was changed into. So this is probably sometime after that.
It's quite a bit of plating in that, because there's plates inside of those vests, I know. But
these are, like I said, these are the ones that I've seen people wear stuff like this, tactical vests, like SWAT team. It's a SWAT team type thing, and that's what they have. They have plates inside of them.
It's an odd placement of the third plate on the far.
It is weird. It is. I'm not sure what's going on hair. That is a little bit weird. You're right. So
The
then,
sweet spot.
yeah. Oh no. Okay. So this one here is William, old William, and this is I'm pretty sure this is his hand as well. So now I looked this up. I know this is a different, like, he wore a tuxedo at the massacre. And I thought, oh, maybe this is from the massacre. But when I looked it up, he's actually wearing black buttons on his shirt. So I know it's a different tuxedo than the one he wore at the massacre because it had white buttons. So I'm wondering, and he's in a bar of some kind. So, again, this could be not in our timeline.
I would say, yeah, that it's likely that this is before it. Like I said, I don't believe that all the flashbacks we will see it's not just going to be modern Man in Black and then old, or young William.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Are we still calling him Man in Black, or
anytime I say Man in Black, I'm talking about Ed Harris.
Old William.
Anytime I say William, I'm going to say, just because I'm not going to play mental gymnastics with this. Or
and
lingual.
It was funny too because I was like, how the heck did he get his Man in Black outfit back? But it was in a trunk, so I was thinking, was like he found the hat in a trunk, and then I was thinking,
he owns that he has his own, evidently he has his own like cabin there.
So that was his cabin he was trying to get back to with his clothes in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one thing I wanted to bring up, I was waiting too, because I talked about this before about how they screwed themselves by not having faith in humanity and making everything a host in that park for their security. Now it's the opposite. The animals are also hosts. So if any of them ascend, I was waiting for that horse to kick him or something. I was like, kick him. But they had that good
he knew him though. He knew him.
Yeah. Well, but if the coding goes away,
sure.
I don't know.
I think that actually happens in the original movie. I think I have to double check, but I think in the original Westworld movie, the animals and everything else goes crazy as well.
Yeah.
So I'll have to double check on that, Justin Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my favorite. I was really excited to get to this one.
This is all you.
I'm so excited about this. Okay. So we know this is Shogun World. Now how far do you think they'll wait until we get to this world?
I don't think we're going to go into it much. I know for a fact that the showrunners have said we will spend one episode there.
Yeah, okay.
But we're not going to be as fairly. They've already shown us, as I correctly predicted. I don't pat myself much, but I'm doing it this time, that they will be bleeding into each other. But yes, we will spend one episode. Yeah. It will be probably from her POV. That's about it.
Yeah. So she's okay. So I'm not a weapons expert, but this is a katana she's holding here, which is a Japanese sword. And
it's a long handle.
It has a very long handle. Yeah, you have to use both hands. She looks like she's holding. Actually, they show her kind of picking it up, and then she's holding the air. One thing I noticed, she's got blood on her forehead. So before she even picks up the sword, or before she even strikes a blow,
well,
blood on her face. So it looks like she's might have already been in some, some kind of skirmish of some kind. But yeah, so she's wearing a kimono. You know that. So
yeah, but tell me a little bit about kimonos.
Okay. So the period that they've based Shogun World is the Edo period, which ran for about 300 years. And sorry, do you see my cursor when I'm doing that?
That's fine though.
I keep swirling my cursor around. So it's based on the Edo period, and in this time period, women wore kimono and an obi. So the sleeves were very long, as they are here. They're rising up on her because she's lifting her arms up. So you would have worn an undergown, or what's called a kasode. I'm just going by memory here. So the under kimono, like the white collar, it looks like a white collar. That's actually an entire other robe. And then you wear the kimono on top of this. And I mentioned before, I thought it might have been chrysanthemums, which was a popular motif in Japan at that time. And it would have been done with, it would have been woven like out of silk. And then the belt is called an obi, O-B-I. And then over top of the obi, they usually wear a cord, or it's like a sash they wear over top of that. And then they wear a scarf at the very top that's tucked in. So it's going to be so great when we actually get some good pictures of this, because then I'll have a much better idea. The one thing that is not period is her hair. She's just wearing it Maeve style. And then she's kind of wearing it like Maeve Madam style, actually. Like when she worked at the brothel.
It kind of, you are the expert, but it looks like do you think they tried though?
No, I don't think it looks Japanese at all. And
but
her
do you
makeup
think
is
they
definitely
tried?
No. Well, no, I think I have a feeling she did her own. It looks like she did her own hair because like a woman would have had us like a lady maid do her hair for her. And also
Mm.
her makeup is not Japanese. So
So
do
you
you
don't
remember
believe they tried to be accurate with that? They didn't at all.
well, this is what I'm gleaning from this. What I'm gleaning from this is that she maybe walked in there and then somehow took this outfit.
Yeah.
I don't think that she's like, she's a black woman in a Japanese world. I don't know. Like it to me, it appears that she put this together herself. I don't get the
Yeah.
impression that she would have, been living in like she's one of the not woke hosts and she's
That's
like,
true. Like, why would she
why would
be
she
like
bother?
totally like? Well, why even like? How
Yeah.
could she? Like, she
And
would
in
be like, "Oh, gotta spend
yeah,
the day doing this."
and in the original, like last season, she always did her own hair. I don't know if you remember that, but she'd have it
Mhm.
long in the morning, and then she'd wake up and she'd put it up and put pins in it, and then she always put these little fuchsia flowers in, and she's wearing the fuchsia flowers. You can't see it, but it's right kind of here.
Yeah, that's all part about
Yeah,
establishing their loop and
yeah.
routine.
And then her makeup is basically the makeup that she just normally wears. It's not Japanese makeup. Like I was saying, that they do the eye. There was only 3 makeup they wear. They wear the white paint, they wear the eyebrow, and then they do the lip. And so when we saw that other picture, I don't have it here, but that we should have that other geisha picture
Mhm.
where that woman was actually wearing. So I think this will be really fun once we start getting more pictures, and then we can talk about this more.
I
That's
think
going
the
to be
only
for me
thing,
exciting.
yeah, the one thing though, I do think I know a little bit about why those sleeves are so big, and I could be wrong.
Sure.
It's I believe it has to do with so their sword thrusts are not as choreographed because the sleeves are covering their arm movement more, and
Yeah.
it's more of a blur. I believe it's like it works as kind of like a defensive method, and also it can work as a guard to a point.
Yeah, well, if you see behind her, like where her arms are, it's actually the sleeves are open. They're not actually
Mhm.
seamed all the way. So a kimono sleeve is actually kind of like a square, like it drops and then comes back up, and then it's actually open at the back. So there's a lot of ease of movement. So like a samurai or a shogun would have that ease of movement because of the design of the sleeves.
Yeah.
It would have been easy for them to be, unless you're wearing all that armor, which was all laced on as well. And that's another thing I'm going to be really excited to talk to you about is the Japanese armor, which is very, very elaborate. And I touched on it quite a bit on mentioned this to you before on Game of Thrones, because the Lannister armor is based on Japanese armor.
Yes.
And I'm not even coming up with that. That's actually the designer and the armor designer said that.
Yep.
Which is why it has a lot of the red in it. And you see here behind her, there's a lot of the red. That was a very prominent color in Japanese in the Edo period.
But people probably still argued with you and thought it was your idea, even though the creators clearly stated it was influenced from.
No, actually, I told you the only thing they got on me about was the helmet. They kind of didn't agree with me about the name of the helmet.
Yeah.
And so that was the only thing. But no, people actually, they were okay with me about that. Okay. Yeah. So this is all I have. It's the same picture. This one's they're exactly the same. Isn't that weird? I grabbed two of the same
lighter,
picture.
One's lighter.
One's lighter, one's dark. Okay. Sorry. Here she is. Here's her sash. You can kind of see the red sash there. Yeah. So there's a front view of her. So her sleeve kind of comes a little bit. So there's the full katana there.
How many layers is this then? 2?
Well, she's wearing 2, but I've seen the royalty would have worn 12 layers. But they wouldn't have been walking around. They would have just been perched or something.
Yeah,
so
that's what I do. I perch.
Actually, sorry, they did wear a 3rd layer. They wore just it would have been just like a shift just for to keep the garment clean.
Gotcha.
And actually, Cersei, because she wears a sort of a Japanese sort of style.
No, it's not. Joking.
Yeah, I know. She actually wears. There's a scene where she actually wears like an undershift. They rarely show them in their undergarments, and she even wears a corset, which is sort of funny. But the obi itself would have operated kind of like a corset. Yeah. It sort of helps bind you up, like it helps to sort of keep everything sort of in place.
Yeah,
so
except for your organ. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So how much time have we got left here? All right. So we're gonna move on to this.
Peaky fucking Blinders, my favorite.
Yeah.
If you guys have not seen this show, go watch this show. Fun fact: Thomas Shelby, Cillian Murphy. This is actually Tom Hardy's wife who plays. Her first name is May. I forget her last name.
Oh, that's Tom Hardy's wife?
Yes, it is.
Venom?
Yeah. I
Wow.
guess. Is he Venom now? Is that how we know him? God.
Oh, here, I just want to read a few things here from Aaron because he's so smart. He says, if I remember correctly, the handle of a katana is longer than the blade so that they could draw the sword more quicker. That's pretty cool, hey? And then he also says, and also their sleeves could hide smaller weapons, and also so that they could hide their folding fans like pockets back in the 1600s in ladies' dresses. Oh,
good. See, I was on to something with that. Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because in Game of Thrones, Varys, the actor who plays Varys, he had those really big billowy sleeves.
Well, he's always got his hands in his pockets.
He's always got his hands in there. The reason why is he says that he keeps a book in there, like between takes he reads. So he always had a book shoved in there. So that's why he always has this.
If I was a director, I'd be like, hands out of pocket. Rude.
Well, it was his shtick or something.
I get it. So
Amberlyn says, I love Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, I've made all my Patreons watch it.
Blinders, says PC Gaming.
Yeah.
Peaky fucking Blinders.
If I order the Peaky fucking Blinders. This is great. Now, what really, I love the 1920s. I don't know if I would have loved living in them, but this is post World War II. Birmingham. Sorry, man, Robert's gonna kill me.
We're in a completely different era here.
So this is post World War II. Pocket watches, from what I know, were a big thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is weird to actually see him. Now, this is in one of the later seasons, and now that's what I was wondering. You start to see ties.
Let me try to do a close up here. Okay, how's that? There's that.
So now it's important to know that Thomas Shelby is like a racketeer. At this point, he does have money, but May Carlton, I believe her name is. Now she is a wealthy woman. So now she's also working. She manages I don't know what her exact she trains his racehorse, but this is her estate. Like, she's very, very wealthy. So this is like her work clothes that she's wearing.
Yeah.
So she is taking him to the stable for an update on his his racehorse. And she does look pretty casual here. She does, like, if she's an upper class woman. But I imagine this wouldn't be casual, like this is casual rich, I'm assuming.
Casual rich, exactly. Yeah. She's actually, so what's the one thing we were sort of talking about earlier is that at this time women wouldn't have worn a corset anymore. They would have worn like some type of foundation garment. So the silhouette's quite different than, we would have seen in the turn of the century.
Yeah, wasn't it true that like for a while that like actually, well, no, this is during the time of Henry VIII that I guess more plump women were more popular actually. Around time period.
So this period, so what's happening is the more like tubular silhouette would have been popular. That less like more like bound in the bust, like a more flat chested sort of look would have been more popular.
Weird.
And then you can see, of course, the hemlines are rising quite drastically.
Are his pants cuffed?
They are cuffed, and they have a crease, and then they're high-waisted, like really high-waisted, and they have front pleats. And then at this time, they would have had a button fly. So,
man, your grandpa never looked so fucking cool.
Yeah, I have a picture of my grandpa wearing a really high-waisted pants, and then he's wearing. Okay, so the vest would have been called a waistcoat in England. Mm-hmm. And then he's wearing actually. It looks like a double-breasted jacket, but he's wearing it open. So I'm going to tell you that this most likely, if you're British, this would be a bespoke suit or a custom-made suit if you're American.
Yeah, that was another thing we were talking about, like how important. Yeah. That's why I love period pieces, because you couldn't just go to Marvin's, not a real place anymore, or you couldn't just go and get clothes like as easily as we do now. Not only were they in financial straits, but they, you had to go to a dressmaker or you had to make it yourself. Like everybody had to have like at least half the talent that you have to even dress themselves.
So this for sure would be made, and then like you say, he's wearing a gold pocket watch, which a gentleman would have worn. I mean, even if he's not a gentleman.
Well, that's the thing. He's a gangster, but
but he wants to, he obviously wants to dress well. And then you and I talked about, and the collar would be separate. It would be a separate piece.
Which is coming back now.
It is. So like, so that's why when you see like the shirt would be blue and then the collar is white, the collars were always white. And then they'd be starched like with actual starch. So they're super stiff. They're actually pretty uncomfortable. And then it would be attached at the front and the back of the shirt. And then of course we have his peaky hat.
I really like that hat. I think that is just a very attractive hat.
I'm still trying to remember the name of the hat. I keep thinking Poor Boy, but I'm not.
I think that's right.
I'm gonna have to look it up. We have a picture of it. Actually, here's a better picture of him.
That looks like, is that wool?
It's wool. The suit is wool. So here, Justin, you can see when he's not wearing his tie, you can see. Can you see my arrow here?
Yeah, that's what I asked you about before.
That is where the shirt is attached. It's actually like a little piece of brass or something that goes through both the shirt and the collar, and it keeps it in place. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'll see if I can find some pictures of like what they look like detached. And then you could get this is called a this type of collar is just a standard collar, but you can do a rounded collar. You could have a rounded collar. I think he sometimes wears that. Or you could have a notched collar, which would be like a tuxedo type collar. So they had that choice. One of the things, though, this jacket looks very British to me because it has that velvet lapel, like at the upper lapel here.
It's very oversized.
It's it's very oversized with a super wide shoulders. It's very, and it really looks like a gangster.
Yeah, because in the earlier seasons, before they become as wealthy as they become, spoiler alert, they're never wearing ties. So I was always wondering, like, is that a showing where they're at in society or not? Because that looks to like a tuxedo. It looks weird to me. I don't like the way it looks. But maybe it's just that the ties didn't come in. Like, when did ties start being worn?
Oh, they've been around a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, it just the ties as we know them today are a little, he's actually here. If I go back, he's actually wearing like a tie as we know today. But or previous to this, it would have been like a cravat or an ascot, that type of thing. It would have been a little bit wider. Like William, for instance, old William, Black Man in Black, is wearing a tie, but basically it's a cravat that he's tied like a tie. So that was like 1880s, I think. That sort of time
I was
period.
in a play where I had to wear one of those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't tie it. They tied it for me.
Yeah. So this thing here on his pocket watch. Okay. So how a pocket watch works is it sits in the little tiny pocket of your vest. And then you've got the chain that attaches up here. And then you have what's called a fob. And that sort of just anchors the whole thing. And then when you need to check the time, you just pull it out and look at it.
Now that fob, though, do you think that this is also because, I'm reading the book right now, which I recommend, 100 Years of Violence in London, and it's all about the Birmingham gangs. It's all about Billy Kimber, the Elephant Boys. These names for gangs are terrible, but you probably want to. Like pickpocketing and stuff like this, and stealing pocket watches was a huge thing. Guys used to walk around with scissors to cut things, like inside newspapers. Was this maybe to await so he would know it's on him for sure?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure about that, but what I would be interested to know is what this looks like up close, because it might have some kind of insignia on it that he might have had custom made or something. And really, because it would have been most likely it would have been gold. So
it's a status symbol too.
So it's a status symbol, and then it's because they had silver ones too. So if you weren't as high status, you were just worn a silver. I think they might even have plate metal. And then, so if someone steals this from you, they're probably just going to have it melted down, or they probably would have sold it and then they would just melt it down.
It would depend. I'd probably melt it I'd steal it for sure though.
Yeah. So that's why I think, if it's solid gold or, 18, 24 karat, that would be definitely a status symbol. So so here is, you provided me these close-up pictures. Where'd you get these from?
Isn't it weird, guys, that I have these? I'm not.
Yeah.
A website. I took a bunch of NyQuil.
Is this his actual hat?
Yes.
This is okay. So it's like a Melton wool. This hat. Now, one of the things you and I talked about, it's not in this picture, but there were razor blades in his hat.
Yes, in the show, but that is incorrect.
You done some research about that.
Yes, that is incorrect. It's fun for the show, and it's commonly.
My sister's in the chat, by the way.
Hello.
She says that thing at the neck would have been called a stud. That's what it's called. And the starch would have been made of powdered starch mixed with water. The collars are washed and dipped in the starch and left to dry before they are ironed stiff. Thanks, Connie. That's my sister. Everybody, Constance.
Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Evidently,
my sister did theater in university.
God, why is your whole family?
She's very smart. No. Thanks for coming to my live stream, Connie.
As far as the razor blades go, it's a common misconception because the razor blades were not actually you would shave with what we would like look at as like a knife, like, you know, you would flip it out and it would only have one side of a blade, and it would have a handle. It would be like a kit knife to a point. Razor blades were they were around, but they weren't like, you couldn't go get razor blades like you get razor blades now. So it's just not something that was ever actually reported to use. They use baseball bats, they use clubs, they use those I always forget the name of them, but they're the little black what are they called? Black,
a truncheon, like with with billy club?
No, it's a little oh man, I'm making myself, it's like it's just a very small and you whip it and it's weighted at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, but they would use things like that.
Okay. I don't even know. Maybe someone in the chat knows.
Somebody in the chat will know. It's called.
Connie says that hat is a newsboy. A newsboy hat. I was calling it a poor boy hat, but it's a newsboy hat.
But I think that I've seen. But I believe that, you know, you got to realize that things change from, you know, sure, also from culture to culture. Yeah. Oh, that's gonna make me mad. I'm sure some of the guys know what I'm talking about. Sure. In the chat with the small little.
Is it a mace?
No, it's very small. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
So then the picture on the right that's a different jacket than the one you showed me, though, because this jacket is single breasted, so it only has buttons on one side. Like, it doesn't have two rows of buttons. It only has one row of buttons.
I believe that is the exact hat that they found, but this website, I believe, is the website that shows if you want to dress like them. So I think that was the closest.
Okay. Yeah. And then so the pants, so the pants are really, really high waisted. So, you know, most people think their natural waistline is around their belly button, but really your natural waistline is a couple inches above your belly button. So men used to wear pants just at their natural waistline, as opposed to today where men wear their pants usually around their belly button, or sometimes, well below their belly button, at least in my neighborhood.
Hooligans.
30-day reviews the same. Billy Club?
No, I'm going to get to it. I'm so mad.
Amberlyn says, she has a great question here. She says, do men wear shorter length pants in that era because of dirt, first mud, etc. splashed up? In other words, is the pant length functionally purposed since they had limited wardrobes? Well, I don't think his pant legs are short.
It's a blackjack. It's called a blackjack.
A blackjack. Okay. See, I didn't even know. Sorry. They are cuffed. So, what happens normally when you make pants is they would have like a break. So when it hits your shoe, the front of your shoe, it would be shorter in the front and then longer at the back. But because you have a cuff, you have to make the pants actually longer, and then it gets turned up and then it's pressed or whatever. Oftentimes it's like swing tacked into place. So yeah, they do look a bit short, but that does make sense. And he's wearing boots, not shoes. So, which would have been popular.
Wouldn't it also be important for them to be able to, you know, to lengthen or shorten them, you know, like, especially, I mean, he's obviously a grown boy, but as a younger man, you'd want to have pants that
actually young men would have actually like a crop pant. They wouldn't even wear a full length pant, so they wear a crop pant even into the 20s and 30s. Like, my dad had very short pants when he was younger, and then they would wear boots and then socks. So if you look at pictures of young men, you'll see that. And then as you get older, I would think also that a cuff. So actually I know this. A cuff is another sign of wealth, because it shows that you can afford fabric to have that addition. So if you don't have a lot of money, you're not going to be able to make a pair of pants without a cuff, because you're going to be able to afford a certain amount of fabric. Whereas if you have money, you can say, hey, I can afford that extra fabric.
So it's like having the new iPhone now.
Yeah, so it could be a sign of status. And the same with like this really crazy oversized coat. Like, this would be very expensive. his coat
Yeah,
that he's wearing
he's
here.
always walking. He's not a big man, but he has a very he has a great screen presence.
Yeah,
He's
Killian is he's very like he's always I've never seen him about he's always been very very lanky. I call that kind of a lanky.
28 days later, he's naked for
28
like
days
20
he's
minutes.
well,
Yeah.
I mean he's supposed to be yeah, he's been in a coma, right? So, but I've never seen him in anything in Batman or anything. I've never seen him look, he's just sort of got that naturally lanky, figure. And then
But
his
with that
cheekbones are
coat he
crazy.
wears, he's able to like really like posture up, and he if you just see the
Yeah.
way he walks, and I think that's part of the reason. But these
So
coats,
it
I
kind
also
of
did a little research. They were popular. Sorry.
so I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. Well, it would make sense to me then because he is so lanky, I should say, that he would want to put on something that's kind of oversized. It gives him, and then with the broad shoulders, it just gives him a little bit more. Like he looks a bit menacing here.
Yeah, just by the way he walks. Like if you just
Yeah, his
watch like
gait.
yeah, he I don't know, he postures up.
Yeah. So okay. So then we did that. Okay. Here he is again. Without the tie. So this must be he kind of likes this look then, eh?
Earlier, that's and then that's I think you know her, Willis. And that's Grace Shelby in the show. I forget her name in
Yeah.
real life.
So actually, so this one here, because we probably have a few Game of Thrones people in the chat, fans. So I tweeted this picture out of this costume, and the reason why is that the woman who did the all the embroidery, all the beautiful embroidery for Game of Thrones, she actually did this dress. So it's the only dress she did on the whole show. It's so funny that, but it's really exquisite. So all of this in the front here is all beading. It's all done with beading. And then it's got this lace, it's very, very 20s, but it's just got this little lace sort of like fallen bits of lace here. It looks like chantilly. And then she's added beading all through there. So next time, actually, I should try and find that picture. I did tweet it though. Justin, I should at you it so you can see. And then this fellow over here, now he's wearing, it looks like he's wearing a tie bar. I could be wrong.
What would that be for?
No, he's not. Sorry. A tie bar is normally, it goes into the collar and goes across and it goes underneath the tie and it kind of makes the tie stick out, but it's not. But so he's wearing a rounded collar. So here's a rounded collar and it's quite a bit deeper. So you could get collars that were different sizes, different, heights. So this is a little bit like you guys don't know Don Cherry. He's a celebrity in Canada, a sports figure. He wears like collars that are right up to the chin. Like it's kind of ridiculous. So so he's wearing a collar that's just a little bit no, so we're sorry, they're brothers.
Yes,
Sorry,
that's actually now Thomas is like the leader, but Arthur is the he's a much larger he's the beastly one. He is the older brother. He's a little bit lighter in the head. But he's a great, they're all great characters, but yeah, and that's I believe that's her at a cocktail party right there. So that's kind of got that flapper girl feel to me.
Yeah,
I guess. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm not an expert. I'm looking for tell me if I'm sounding stupid.
No, you totally got it right. So yeah, so the it's got a bit. I don't have the full picture of it, but from what I remember, it was sort of a drop waist, which would have been very, very popular. And she's got her hair is like what they call a bob. Sometimes they would do like a Marcel type wave.
They would plaster it to their head sometimes.
Yeah, this I would say the color. It would be the only thing that kind of takes you out a little bit. It looks a bit contemporary, her color. She wouldn't have had, they would have had some processing, but this looks very, 2018 to me. And maybe her makeup a little bit too. But the dress I think is pretty good. But this guy, one thing I noticed about him is he's got this really nice Irish tweed, or Scottish tweed sort of herringbone type scarf here that he's wearing inside his coat. That's really a nice little detail.
Yeah, I love scarves. Not to sound I don't care how I sound. I love them. I've got scarves that have been.
Scarves are awesome.
Yeah, I love wearing an overcoat with a scarf. Yeah, and so he's got they're half Romani. They refer to them as gypsies. They're highly usually I guess a lot were in Wales. It's unclear, but I mean I think that actor he definitely looks Irish to me. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Aaron asks if it's okay if he's sewing while he's watching this. I'm like, absolutely, Aaron.
So am I. We're all sewing, dude.
uh, okay. So I don't know if I have any other. Oh, then we have this one. Yeah.
Now, this is the big one. This is the one,
Yeah.
and then I promise we'll get on. Okay, so I love this because, like,
Oh, yeah.
the
It's
reason I find
stunning.
what you do so interesting is, you know, it's everything is done in a lot of quality television and film for a reason. They're not just willy-nilly saying, put on a dress from, you know, Macy's or something. You know, I mean,
Mhm.
things mean something. And then in Peaky Blinders, multiple times, clothing, you know, it's not just meaning something, but it's brought up.
Yeah.
This scene in particular. Now, this is a dress that when Paul, again, okay, because they are half Romani. They run rackets. They're from Birmingham, which is an industrialized city, you know, so they are looked at as second class citizens. They are 1 foot in the world, you know, they're never fully accepted, but they do run things. So she has a somebody from London that's like, you know, like I don't know, upper class, whatever you want to call him, and he wants to do a painting of Paul here, and she picks the dress. Now, this is the dress she picks. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is taking place in 1920 something, I think 1924. This dress that she picks, um, she says was stolen off a rack of a store in, I believe she says 1890 or 1880. Maybe you
Yep.
can help clarify.
Yep.
And then I'll be quiet. What that says to me, though, is that she wants this portrait of her painted by this, well-known, noble-blooded man. But she wants to embrace both sides. She wants to, embrace the outlaw inside of her and all that. And I mean that those are the details, that they slip in that makes me think it's not, oh, she likes to wear her mom's dress. It's like, no, she's expressing who she is
Yeah.
fully and what she's come from, so I don't know, 1880, 1890, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say it's later. It's a little bit later. And the reason I was going to say that is the front is flat, like the skirt. It's flat in the front. And then there would have been a little bit of fullness, actually kind of around the same time as Dolores's dress, her blue dress. And then the bodice is this would be the type of thing you would wear a corset underneath. Because I was telling you that the corset would have been it would have gone out of fashion by the time we get to post World War I. And this dress is definitely silk. I'm pretty sure it's silk taffeta, probably. One of the things I noticed right away, and this is what I love about some of these earlier periods, and they've done this to try and make it look that, is you can see it's actually hand sewn here, like all the little, this is all hand sewn along here, and this is hand sewn, and a lot of this stuff would have been hand sewn and then hand finished. So they probably would have used a machine, but some of the details would have been hand sewn. And it's supposed to be something that was stolen, but did she, in the show, did she have it altered at all for her?
No, not that they show.
Yeah,
She just gives a backstory.
because it fits her perfectly.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
says, I mean, yeah, I mean, it probably just doesn't fit the narrative for it to
yeah.
be,
And then
way baggy.
these embellishments here. So this appears to be shell, like some type of shell. And then these are plumes, like feathered plumes. I'm not sure exactly what kind. That was a very popular thing to use back then. Were feathers and in headdresses and in dresses and so on. It's a really nice addition, though. I love it. They just do it on the one side, and then of course the gloves, which at that time a woman, especially if she went to a ball of any type, would have always worn gloves. Like never would she have been without gloves. That was sort of the thing. So yeah, it's a beautiful color too. It's sort of like a pinky taupey color, pinky champagne color, I think. What do you
I'm
think?
colorblind.
How do I get back out of here now?
The
There we
one
go.
really quick
Yeah.
thing is the reason that they kind of got rid of like this style of clothing post World War I is because of women went to work when the men were at war, and
Yes.
is that the reasoning that they kind of they got more?
Yeah.
I'm sure it influenced it to some point.
Yeah, I'm assuming so. Yeah, I think just there was a movement to move away. I guess the suffragette movement,
Yes.
would have moved it away. Now, the one thing I did want to say, despite her dress being very like turn of the century, like Edwardian, let's say, her hair is still in that uh, post World War II look, World War One, I should say. And I don't know about her earrings, which are really gorgeous. I love these
And
things
that
too.
fits too, because she wants to embrace both
Yeah,
sides, who she is now at that moment and
yeah.
what she came from.
And I love this actress. Like, I think I mentioned this to you, Justin, that I did a review of Penny Dreadful, and she stars in Penny Dreadful, and she was amazing. And that show actually is turn of the century, so she's wearing that same type of period. But a lot of costume people adore her character in this. And I haven't gotten that far in the show, so that's why I'm relying on you.
I cannot recommend it enough. It is, yeah. And this really quick, I just sent it to you. Now this is Lizzie.
Oh, here, can I say one thing before? Amberlyn McKay. Oh, she gave us a super chat. What a sweetie. Thank you so much. $9.99. Thank you, Heidi. We love you. Aw. Thanks, Amberlyn.
She's one of my Patreons. She's one of the best people.
She is very supportive. She's so supportive. And I chat with her on Twitter a lot, and she's just lovely. Thank you so much. You're a sweetheart. I think my sister's left. She's bailed. I work part-time for my sister as well. I think I was telling you that earlier. She's a very, but her and I both used to do community theater together. Mm-hmm. When I was 15, my sister's 9 years older than me, so we would do shows together. And my very first show, I was 15. I did the wardrobe. I was in the wardrobe, and she was in the show. So that's sort of how I got my start.
Well,
Justin Thomas.
Yeah, I've done theater.
The name is Justin Thomas.
It's because it's my name. Well, I was a DJ, and I always wanted to I always imagined.
No, I'm doing I'm doing your drone impression.
Oh yeah, that guy's a dick.
What kind of name is that, Justin Thomas?
Yeah, how creative.
My sister's still here. She says.
Yeah, we weren't talking bad about you.
No.
PC Gamer is the one I believe that turned me on the Peaky Blinders. I don't know how many times I glossed over like that show on Netflix, and I kick myself every single time because now I've watched it probably far more than I should. Like, I'm at the place where I'm gonna have to start going to meetings in basements of churches for it. You know what I mean? I'm addicted to Peaky Blinders. It's 6 episodes a season. It's that number is odd.
I know, I love it.
It works so good.
Yeah, so somebody else, I think it was Peg Like Pete, wants me to watch A Stitch in Time, which again is only 6 episodes. It's BBC, I think, too. So I do like that they do that, because then it's sort of like it's manageable. And even, Frankenstein Chronicles, I think it's 8 episodes. I like that. American television tends to be,
watch it. The Walking Dead is on like episode 30 of season 50.
I know.
And it's awful.
No, but that was different, right? The first season, I think they only did 3 episodes.
I don't know. I don't care. I don't want to talk about it. It's debauchery.
Yeah, but anyway, so tell me about this.
Okay, so this is this is Shelby. Ada Shelby. Mm-hmm. Ada. Yes, I almost called her Lizzie.
She's like a love interest.
No, she's the sister.
The sister. That's right. She's also yeah.
Not Game of Thrones. So she is Ada Shelby. She is the only female Shelby sister, mm-hmm. And she is kind of like she at first starts off because you got to remember that communism was a big thing, like the workers movement and all this in post World War I. Russia had just fallen, so it was a real threat, and it plays a big part in the show now. So she struggles with her revolution side that she embraces in the first few seasons to when she starts becoming part of the family business and embracing these riches. Tommy almost says to her when he gives her a house, like he's giving her a house, because he needs to kind of like wash his money, but he also does love his family. And he says, and you maybe even get a servant if your politics will allow you. You know what I mean? So she kind of like,
I'm assuming they'd be anti-communist, anti-socialist.
They were all socialists like before the war, and then the guys the men that went over to France, they didn't come back. The men they were, and it's just some stayed and some didn't. It's a big theme of the show, and it's really important to realize that we kind of laugh it off now, but I mean the threat of that. I mean they literally brutally killed that family. The Romanovs. That was very fresh in the mind of the English. So any sign you were not able to walk around with any ideas of your own that didn't fit theirs. They were hunting you down, and then you had the whole IRA situation going on the other side. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff. But I mean, this is just her. This is her, I believe, 2nd season. I don't know. I guess you could tell me a little bit about that coat. She's kind of a minimalist too. But
well, my sort of impression, this coat, it looks very authentic. Like it looks like it's out of the period. And I would, I'm kind of wondering if the designer, who I have to look into, actually found a piece and maybe had it reproduced, because it's got a shawl collar. This is what the collar is. It's maybe rabbit, could be what it is. And then the coat itself is covered in embroidery, which they sort of were influenced a lot again by Asia in England. They adopted a lot of this. And actually, I went into a lot of this embroidery when I did my Game of Thrones, because Sansa and Cersei have a lot of this type of embroidery. I wonder if Michelle Clapton had anything to do with this, but sorry, Carragher, I should say. But yeah, so it'd be interesting to see. This looks like something you would see at the Met, at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. You can see things like this. So it looks like it's probably got, those oversized sleeves, kind of like a kimono. And it probably would have been pretty full, right? I don't have a full picture of it, but do you remember? Was it quite, full?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, she's like got to hold on to it to even keep it in place. And I didn't realize that about the material, but it makes sense. I mean, do you think it's just like to show again wealth? Because look at the people behind them.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And also just in sort of this, like, it always kind of looks dirty, right? It always sort of looks dirty there. Like it's very
Small
industrial.
It is very industrial.
And then to be wearing cream, to be wearing cream in an industrial, that just is just.
Have you ever read Paradise Lost? It's kind of an interpretation.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This Birmingham and Small Heath is supposed to be like the interpretation, or symbolize hell, even with the flames and all that. And so you see the gentlemen in back. They're not there. There's the people that work for the factories, and then there's people that own the factories, and then the gangsters, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, it also shows too. I mean, I guess she probably does something, but it shows probably that she's like a lady of leisure, that she doesn't actually work.
Yes.
That's what it sort of tells me as well. I mean, I'm sure she does, like, her mother, I know, is sort of in the side, is doing the machinations behind the scenes sort of thing. But this is what it would tell me, that she is, she's not working, and she's sort of kept, right?
Yeah, she don't do nothing. No, she starts working for him. But the mom is never in the show. It's Paul that acts as the mother.
Paul, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine.
Paul is the surrogate mother, I guess, right?
Yeah, you're fine. You've never.
And she's got a male name, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, Ada. Ada Shelby. Yeah, so she's kind of like, she progresses. Like I said, in the first season, she's played more as a child because there's a time jump, even though it's the same actress. She's running around with Tommy's old friend, who is still one of the, more, I guess you'd call him a commie. I wouldn't, but they would. She gets part of the movement, then she realizes that they can't get anything done, blah blah blah, comes back and becomes a liaison for to America. So she's definitely, no matter what, even in the beginning, they have more money than anything because they run the rackets there. So. Yeah.
So here, well, we're getting really late, so we're just gonna touch on this a little bit. I don't have a lot of pictures of it, but we're gonna move on to the Borgias. Maybe what we can do is do another stream about the Borgias, because it's getting late.
Yeah, no, that's what happens when you got talkers like me.
So what do you want to talk about here?
Well,
let's go to this picture here. This is actually, I really like this picture.
Yeah, you can compare and contrast between the two series. Yeah,
So we've got this. So this is the the show that you
Netflix.
Like,
this
the
is
Netflix one, and then this is the other one, right?
Yeah, this is just the Borgia.
This is Showtime. The one.
That's Showtime.
Showtime Borgia, and then this is the Netflix Borgia. Yes. Okay, so and then we've got Jeremy Irons here, and then the guy in the front. I think he's an Irish actor who plays the same character.
Yeah, so that's Rodrigo Borgia, Pope Alexander III. On the left, who is missing from the Showtime, he's in the Showtime show. He's played by David. Whatever. I'm not going to think forever to think of his name.
The young guy here.
No, not him. But that's Juan Borgia that you're pointing to right now. He is in the Showtime, but he's not in the promo. That is Cesare, and then you have Lucrezia.
Yeah, so I've never seen this show. So we're just gonna look at the costumes.
That is him as Pope. That is the brother with the armor at this time is the head of the papal guard. And then you have Cesare, who is I believe this is when he is still studying in Pisa to be he becomes a cardinal, but of course you study to be a priest. And then Lucrezia, who is definitely a kept woman. She is there to arrange a marriage for the family. Yeah, so
they're planning on marrying her off.
They do quite a few times.
Yeah. Oh, quite a few times. Okay, so one of the things I was going to tell you, this is really funny, on Frockflix, one of the biggest bones of contention was this headpiece thing she's wearing. They got in a big fight. It was so funny. So one of the people in the chat did actually find a painting of a woman wearing this type of thing, but likely it wouldn't have been something women would have worn. And the other thing, this is something that happens. Like they show it here as well. The women always have their hair down. Women would have always had their hair covered.
Yeah, because that was shown as in they promiscuous, right?
Yeah,
Anne Boleyn's picture with her hair out, right?
Ooh, and the same with the Tudors, right?
Yep.
So women would have always have had, this actually looks kind of medieval, I think.
She never wears that little that's like
there?
some Lord of the Rings crap.
Yeah, it's very medieval kind of looking.
Elvish.
Elfish, yeah. So that's just something that the designer kind of just put. That was his own.
It's a promo pic, yeah.
Yeah. And then but this I really love this. I love this. It's the silhouette of it is very liturgical or Pope-like, cardinal-like.
I will say that they handle from my research on the Borgias, which is too extensive for not actually doing videos on it, and it's not really easy to justify. But in this series that we're looking at, they have the cardinals wear the cardinal hats that are just the rounded ones, not the big tall ones. That's actually correct. In the new one, they have the ones that we recognize now. This one, you don't see them, but you know what I'm talking about,
a mitre. It's like the tall hat that the Pope wears. Usually, they wear the beanie, like the little tonsure hat. They wear that underneath the mitre.
Mm-hmm.
And so would they have worn those, or you said they didn't?
Well, no, they wouldn't have worn the tall ones during this period. They wear what they wear is they almost look like a really big rounded bowler hat almost. I don't really know.
Okay, sure, yeah.
They don't look as good.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
they don't look as good. But
I love this costume, by the way. I love this, with the damask, brocade here. That's gorgeous. And then this fabric here is really cool. This sort of crinkled silk or something.
Just a rope across him.
Sorry, is it a rope?
Cord.
It's a belt. Yeah, it's a cord belt. Yeah.
I don't feel so bad about wearing that cord.
It's kind of like a weird square knot.
I think they still wear those priests to a point.
They do. Yeah, they do. So he's wearing like a cassock underneath. It's pleated at the neck. Like here, this is usually what we sort of think of priests wearing, this type of thing. So it's called a cassock. It's got fitted in the torso, and then it flares out, and then it's got a stand-up collar, and then it's usually lots of buttons. And then over top of this, you would wear this type of thing.
Yeah, like in this series that we're at right now, when you see Rodrigo in the bed chambers or whatever, he'll be wearing a very rough, I don't know what you'd call it, but the small clothes, the bare minimum, it looks very, just raw. It's got the little ties, it goes down low.
This guy here?
No, right, the Pope.
Oh, the Pope. Sorry, yeah.
In the Showtime one, it's always more glamorized.
Okay.
That's Jeremy Irons in his casual wear.
Sure. Yeah. And then now in terms of Lucretia, so I think they said something about the sleeves. These sleeves are what are called detachable sleeves. So she's wearing what's called a bodice. And then this is where we're getting into some inaccuracies. So it's got grommets in the front. They wouldn't have had grommets yet. They would have had what are called hand-done eyelets that would be then laced. Grommets are metal grommets. That's a later invention. I don't think they came out until the 1800s. So that's usually a lot of historians get really mad about that. I don't really get. I don't get too upset.
Yeah, heads explode about the show.
Lose it. So on Frocks, she kind of did. And then so the sleeves then also have you'll see this on Game of Thrones even, Arya has grommets, but because it's a non-period, you can kind of get away with it. And then she, even Arya has this, so she has a bodice with detachable sleeves. So this is something. The idea is that you can switch out the sleeves. So if you wanted to have a different look, you wanted to okay, today I'm going to wear this bodice, but I want to switch my sleeves. It's not such a big deal if you're wealthy, but if you're poor and you want to be able to change the look of your outfit, you could do that quite easily.
In the Tudors, there's that scene, which also not historically all that accurate, but where what's her name gets Catherine Parr gets sent by Henry before husband even dies, all those partials with that come with, sleeves, and her husband asks, are they fashionable?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, and then her skirt is a different fabric, which is often, because the top and the bottom are separate pieces. So what we know of today as a dress, a modern dress would actually be, it would have at one point been a separate top and a separate bodice. So, or bottom, I should say. So you could wear a different skirt with your top, you could wear different sleeves. And then they would always wear like this cream part here is just basically her under sleeved or her underdress, her chemise, which sometimes, they would sleep in. If you're poor, you would sleep in that. That would be your shift. You would sleep in it. And then this part would, so you'd take all this off and then you'd have your corset over top of that. So maybe I'm going to be able to do a little, I think we should just do another video on this and then I can look into this more.
Yeah, and I'll get you more pictures. I mean, and this is a promo pic. I mean, I don't
it may not be that accurate.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh wait, do I have any other pictures? Okay, this is a little bit blurry. This I think is a little bit later though, right? This is
yes. You can see the change in Cesare. This is him now. When he is the head of the Papal Guard, he is the he is battling to take back the Papal States in the Italian Wars, and Lucrezia is already in Ferrara, married. Pope Alexander is getting older at his end. So yeah, you can see the extreme. You look at the he's the Papal Guard, because it's interesting because the trim on his costume matches his robe. So I don't know if that's just done for the promo or if that was actually they tied in his costume because he's supposed to be the guard. Yeah, I mean, I don't know again because it's a promo. So
and he's got a purple leather belt.
Yeah,
this is very Joffrey, by the way. This is very King Joffrey.
Well, he wears at one point one of the men he executes skin as pants. So
oh my god.
Yeah, that's way worse than Joffrey. There's all these series are based off a series of books written by one of the guys that recorded was like an expert in church canon, and they're all propaganda things. Like I'm sure a lot of it's true, but I mean, like it's all about the debauchery of the Borgias. You know what I mean? It happens with all of them.
Yeah.
So it's some pretty sick shit.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that they were talking about in Frogflix. I think she was saying it was pretty horrifying. There was some pretty horrifying stuff going on there. Now the one thing that she said on Frogflix is that they start going in. This is called Empire waistline and Empire or Empire, this waistline. So it's starting to rise up, and I call this kind of it's Italian Renaissance. So it's sort of what I call this like a Juliet sort of style, like Romeo and Juliet. Because they would have been, I'm not sure what century this is, but they would have been like 15th century. So I'm not sure.
This is 14, like this is right before this 1490s.
So it's very Juliet. And then it's got the Juliet cap sleeve. So she would have had a fitted sleeve and then a little poofy top on the top of it. Of course, it's a brocade. And then this collar was, very, very popular in England and France and so probably Italy as well. It's sort of like an Elizabethan collar, but just a much smaller sort of version of it. And that's done out of like it looks like a silk, Dupioni silk of some kind. And then the sleeves look like velvet. So they're using silk velvet, and it's very Joffrey Baratheon, the brocades, the really rich, deep, rich colors. And then she's wearing a corset. So even though you can't see anything, she is wearing some type of corset underneath it. And that's how she's getting that nice.
Yeah, she was actually, like they do. It does resemble a lot of the pictures you see of the Tudor times. And she was actually the Henry VII tried to arrange a marriage with Lucrezia Borgia in Henry, because that's when Arthur was because Arthur was the one that was his older brother was engaged to or set, I don't know if they even use the word engaged, but to Catherine of Aragon. So but he was only 3 when she was like 18. So but yeah, you see like in a lot of the pictures that. So yeah, it's interesting. In the bright colors I just take as the enlightenment, they want to show that they're out of the dark ages, but it's not the most historical accurate.
So what Frogflix says, so this one here, this is the other Borgias. This is the one, what's the snake's significance here? Do you know what that's about?
The what?
Temptation, the snake. Is that a temptation thing? that she's holding on her arm. Can you see that?
You're out of your screen share.
Oh, I am? Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Oh, where am I here?
You started talking about snakes, and then you showed your face.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think you look like a snake.
Oh, I'm back. I'm back. Hi, everybody. We're back.
You're like, what do you think about snakes?
We're at a slideshow mode. No, sorry. There was a picture of her holding a cup, and there was a snake wrapped around it. And I thought, is that to do with temptation? I mean,
who was holding it? Lucrezia?
Lucrezia, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because there's the whole she's always struggling with her faith, and
sorry. Good night, Connie. She's my sister. I'm going to say good night. Have a good sleep.
Yeah, so I mean, that's obviously, she's got a cup, that's probably, a symbolism of, like imbibing yourself with wine and all that, and temptation and going to the dark side. It was rumored her and Cesare had relations.
I should, So I think we should do a video. Because we spent so much time on Westworld, I think we should do a Borgias one, and then, what was the other show that you're into? I know you're into Black Sails.
Well, yeah, I did a lot on Black Sails.
I've had a lot of people ask me to watch that. They said, if you like Game of Thrones, you'll love it.
That was like when I first started making videos that I was happy with, was my Black Sails videos when I was still having my podcast. So yeah, Black Sails, another one. It's not totally historically accurate, but it's great, and it's great to get somebody like your opinion, because you actually do know what you're talking about. But it's just, the Black Sails, though, it might be difficult. It's a lot of pirates. So like the garb doesn't change too much. Like we could maybe look at 3 pictures and have like but the brothel workers, the ever-present brothel workers of popular television, the staple of every popular TV show.
Is that harlots?
No, but there's a brothel in like a big storyline is the brothel in Black Sails. That's on.
Oh, in Black Sails. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm saying their costumes.
What I want to get you on is I'd like you to do Vikings. I think we should do Vikings together.
Oh yeah, I watched. I hated the last season, but yeah, I'm down. I'm always down to come on.
We should do Vikings. I've only watched 1 episode, but I'm planning on watching more, because I did a video on the costume exhibit. The Viking exhibit at the ROM, which is like our local museum. They borrowed a bunch of artifacts from Scandinavia, and the museum in Scandinavia, and they did this really impressive display. So I went down there and covered it, and then I ended up talking to this lady who does Viking reenactment, and I talked her ear off for like 3 hours or something. I must have driven her crazy. And so I started getting really excited. And then Connie, who is going to bed, she's planning on doing one of those. She might get mad at me for saying this. She's going to do genetic testing to see if we have any Scandinavian in us. Mm-hmm. So I've gotten this sort of like interest in Vikings. So then I said to Robert from In Deep Geek, Robert, are you going to watch Vikings? Maybe we should start doing Vikings. So what do you think of that idea?
Well, I have done videos. I have watched it multiple times. I'm not gonna, anybody that claims they've read the whole sagas, I would like to meet you and have that proved, because it's a lot of reading. But yeah, I've done a lot of research on it. I'm ready at any moment to talk about Vikings. So, I hate the new season, but I still watch it.
Sure. Well, we could even go back and cover old seasons, because I think that there is a huge interest in Vikings, and it's a really fascinating. The first thing about Vikings, I don't know a lot about it, but it's based upon folklore story, right? It's not based upon real life events to begin with.
They weren't literate people, so they told their stories around the heath. So it all gets jumbled.
Yeah. So and then anyway, let's just make a plan to do that. We can maybe do it in the summer. We could start doing it.
We do have the Saxon accounts that, are things they have to adhere to. Michael Hurst, loving history and then shitting on it next day.
Yeah. So anyway, have you been keeping an eye on the chat? Like,
I think
we've been in our own little world.
I've been keeping an eye on it. So I appreciate everybody.
You want to say to anybody?
Thank everybody for coming. Thank you I'm honored to be on your channel for the first time. And
I'm so happy to have you here. This has been a blast.
I would like to do a formal invitation. If you've ever seen my YouTube Confidential series, I have Tony Teflon for my next, then we're looking at Phil the Issues guy. And then this would be probably towards the end of summer. I would like to have you. This is where we talk about content creation and behind the scenes. We don't talk about the shows. We talk about the process. I've done it with Robert. I've done it with Chris from Smokescreen, Broke Black Man, Gray Area. So I'd be honored to have you on for that.
I'd love to do that. And then now tell me what you have coming up.
I'm gonna be covering My Mother the Car. If anybody I always make that joke. Look up the series. I'm seriously gonna do reactions to that. It's a terrible show from the 60s where the guy's mother is a car. I told you nobody gets sense of humor, but yeah, go look the series up. I'm gonna do it. I promise. Westworld. Probably a breakdown of what we were just looking at, because now you've got me intrigued. And now that my cold is somewhat going away, I won't have to be like
your cold has been finishing up because we've been in this stream for so long.
Well, I was so mad at first about the resolution of my video when it came out yesterday and how shitty it was, and then I was like, oh god, I'm gross in the corner up there, like I'm like, you can see me, I'm like maybe it's a good thing. I encourage everybody to check out my channel, and also me and in Hex Dogma we'll be doing our it's not for sure, but it looks like we're going live this time right after Westworld. We hit so much. We nailed it on a lot of the topics right off the bat 15 minutes after the episode, and we want to just prove that we're not afraid to go out there and be right but also be wrong, and show that we're content creators that know what we're talking about when we are invested in the show. So it's all but confirmed. And
Robert's good and dead. He had maggots coming out of his eyes, so we know he's gone. He's dead.
So and Robert's pre-show, whether I don't know who his guests are. Hopefully I'm on it. He's got a lot of people, but of course I'll always drop his name, whether I'm on it or not. Robert from In Deep Geek he has quickly become the Westworld guy along with.
Yeah. So do you have any other announcements?
I'm just happy to be here.
You're going to be watching. So you're going to be watching episode 2 on Sunday coming up.
Yep, and then doing a live stream, our podcast right after, most likely live stream.
And you're going to do a pre-show before?
Robert is. I can't say that I'll be on that for sure. If there's room on the panel, maybe. But no matter what, people should check that out. Robert's pre-show, because he'll be doing. He's in a different time zone, so that's like his.
Yeah, he's in England.
You know what I mean? So I want to equally promote that, whether I'm on it or not. And then just my next video that's coming out, which I'll start working on probably tonight, because sleep is something I just don't have time for. Is the actual recap and review, or kind of a breakdown of that little teaser we got. So that's all. And make sure to follow me on Twitter. And if you are interested in becoming a Patreon, I got some pretty cool perks. Check it out. I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, and I've got your link is in the description below. And Justin's also on Twitter, like I am. So this is where we get have a lot of fun. This is where I got to know some of your viewers, and Robert's viewers is on Twitter, because we have fun on there. And then I have Robert on next Saturday, or this coming Saturday, I should say. So right before the new Westworld episode, we're going to talk more about Westworld, because I'm going to be sick of Westworld here. And then next week, just for something completely different, I'm having Kristen Jones, this crazy, she's gonna be mad at me calling her crazy. She's not crazy. She's just fun cosplayer. She does Outlander. She does Game of Thrones. She has this awesome costume from Predator that she did. It's Justin, you have to see this costume. I'll have to tweet it and show you. So she's going to come on next Thursday. And so those are the things. And then of course I told you guys I had a really great interview with Ruth Carter. So I have both an interview with Ruth Carter coming up, a video, and then I also have a breakdown of I've lost my mind. Black Panther coming out. So that's going to be like a really pretty deep analysis of Black Panther, of the costumes, and there's going to be lots of symbolism in there. And Justin and I have been talking about symbolism. I think that's going to be a theme this year, Justin, is symbolism.
Yeah, well, I'm always looking for the deeper take on things. So that's when I find it funny that people are like, oh, it's such a they're holding our hands now. I'm like, you
Aw.
thought the maze was a physical thing. Don't talk to me about philosophical and theological issues. Where
Yeah.
were you when I was talking about those and
Yeah.
30 people were
You
watching?
needed to give the man in black like a bit of an smack across the head.
Yeah.
Well, actually, and I've got my man in black is right here in
I've
the
got that
corner.
I got two Funko Pops, and they used to be from two different shows, and now they have merged. I got Floki, and I've
Aw.
got so I am actually the reason for this. They saw that I did this, and they're like, "That's a good idea." So no, I can't start buying collections because always you'll see like me rapidly like degressing with production value and having more pops behind me. So
Yeah,
no,
and I've lost the chat here. So do we want to say a final goodbye to everybody?
just thanks again. Thank you, everybody. I'm always happy to come on Vikings, Borgia, whatever it may be. Thank you so much. Had a great time.
Yeah. Thanks, Justin. It was such a blast having you on. I was just like, I just wish I could have somebody to talk. And actually, it's funny because before the stream, Justin and I probably talked for an hour.
Yeah, I
Just,
barely had time to eat dinner.
Yeah, we kind of were like, we were just like talking. Imagine if, you and I, we should try a 24-hour stream. We should do that. We should do like a,
Let's try not to do one. We're trying not to do one right now. Like it needs to end. It should have ended an hour ago. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm having fun.
We were just having such a good time. Okay, so everybody, thank you so much. Goodbye. Thank you so much, Amberlyn, for the super chat. And anyway, so hopefully you guys can swing by on Saturday for Robert. That's going to be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And look forward to seeing all you guys. Okay, thanks so much for sticking around. Okay, take care. Bye.